Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Welcome everyone to the BX Sports Jedi MMA Weekly of Austin and Chef Dan. I am Austin. This is my co-host Chef Dan. How you doing tonight, Chef Dan?
I'm doing very, very good, man. Coming off of an interesting weekend of mixed martial arts and combat sports. It was very interesting. I'm doing well. How are you? How are you, Austin?
Doing pretty good. Doing well. And this was a pretty cool and interesting weekend in mixed martial arts, especially the main events of Bellator and UFC for different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, but we could do as we usually do and jump right into Bellator and what happened on Friday.
Right, and I agree. Bellator this past Friday was in London, England for Bellator 281, and the main event was between MVP from England and Logan Storley for the interim welterweight championship, as the current welterweight champion Jermell Ansarov is in military service in Ukraine during the whole conflict with Russia. So we don't know when he's returning. And originally supposed to be Ansarov to finish tag as MVP, but because I mentioned the Ukraine-Russia situation, he wasn't available, so they made it into the championship. And in this fight, Logan Storley wins this fight via unanimous decision, 48-47. Split. My bad. Split decision. That's what I meant to say. Thank you for correcting me. Thank you. But, yeah, Logan Storley wins via split decision, 48-47, one judge's scorecard, 48-47 for MVP another, and 49-46 for Logan Storley, one judge's scorecard. Now, this fight was a little controversial because Scott Coker, the president of Bellator, and even other people like Ariel Helwani thought that MVP should have been given decision due to damage. But I thought they got the right call personally in this fight, the judges. I thought Logan Storley didn't, his ground control and his octagon control, whatever you want to call it, there was more of that than there was damage to him from MVP, in my opinion. And I know when the fight was thin, MVP landed the better strikes, tagged him, but it wasn't enough though. My problem is MVP, every time you hit it, it will always be ones, never 1-2 or combinations. Even tag him just with one shot. And even though I won in round 4, and in my opinion round 2, just based on the fact that Storley didn't get takedowns like very late in that round 2. The other rounds, it was Storley taking him down, just controlling him, and just keeping using his wrestling, which he's a pretty good wrestler. Logan Storley, he's All-American in Minnesota, University of Minnesota, if I remember. Yeah, that's the right college. And he clearly had a clear wrestling advantage over MVP and used it to control MVP and just control him, and prevent him from damaging him at all. And it wasn't the best fight. I'll admit it was not an entertaining fight at all. Unfortunately, because the rest of the Bellator card was actually really good, but Logan Storley did what he had to do to win. I thought it was the right call because I don't think MVP did enough in terms of in the stand-up to really to claim to win the fight via through the damage rather. Excuse me. That's just my opinion on the fight. I don't know what is your opinion on this fight, Chef Dan?
I agree that it wasn't the most entertaining fight at all. I disagree with the decision though. I thought MVP won this fight, and I do base it on damage because that's what you're in the octagon to do. Grappling matches decided by control versus in the octagon. The Before you're looking for octagon control, you're looking for damage first. Those are the criteria set in judging. And so if that's the initial criteria prior, and then the last thing you're going to look for is octagon control. I think that Logan Storley definitely provided a lot of octagon control, but there was no damage going along with that octagon control. I think MVP came out of that fight virtually untouched. I don't say he was untouched. Logan Storley did throw in a couple ground strikes here and there, but there was only one sequence of it that happened in the end of maybe the second or the third round. At the majority of the fight was mostly just him controlling via grappling, but there was no damage done along with it, and there were no submission threats done along with it as well. It was just strictly control. That was all there was. There was no threat of a submission. There was no threat of of ground and pound. It was just control. So when looking at it in that perspective and kind of really my mind harkening back to, I know they're two different organizations, but the judges are still shared either which way. When you look at a fight similar to, well, it's not similar in that case. This was a more exciting fight, but you look at the Rob Font versus Chito Vera fight that just recently happened. Rob Font had all the numbers to beat Chito Vera, but Chito Vera most definitely did more damage. And who came out of that fight the winner was the guy that did more damage. So that's just my perspective on it. I thought MVP should have won the fight.
Right, but my thing is, I feel like the octagon control was so much that to me it negated the whole. It kind of negated a lot of the damage MVP drew. Like I said, MVP he did land shots, but it was one at a time. It wasn't like combinations, or it wasn't to the point where Logan Storley was like really in trouble, in my opinion, at any point in the fight. I get your argument though about the damage and how important it is. And you mentioned Chito Vera and Rob Font fight, considering Chito had the more damage, but I don't think.
Danger. I think danger is perspective on everyone, because what we could consider danger, another fighter probably doesn't consider danger based on the skill set that a fighter has. So I think that's perspective based. But like I said, I think the reason why MVP, in my opinion, I thought he won because of damage. I think when you list the criteria on how they judge fights, and that has been listed consistently at the beginning of all the programs, the last thing you look for is octagon control, and the first thing you look towards is damage. And if we're doing it based on that criteria, I think MVP won it. But if you feel they got the decision correct, it is what it is. We just got to move on with what's present.
Right, and who knows? Yeah, and we know Logan Storley's the interim champion. We find Amsarov if whenever that. If Amsterdam's able to get out the situation Ukraine, fight and defend his title, or maybe Storley defends his interim belt against his teammate Jason Jackson, because the problem is we don't know when Amsarov is going to be able to leave Ukraine and how long the conflict is going to last with Russia and things like that, etc. So in the meantime, Storley probably will defend the belt, his interim title, possibly. We'll wait and see what's next for him. As we can, anything else you want to say before we move on to the co-main event?
No, it's just like you said. We do not know how long Ansarov is going to be in the war. Things are definitely looking like they're getting more and more serious day by day. So we only could wish for his safety and hope that he can get back, and be able to continue his career. That's what we want first, and then. Just him to be healthy enough that he can come back and continue his career. That's the first thing that we wish for. And then secondly, everything else will, come into play. But that's the last thing I want to say on that.
Definitely agree. And we can move on to the co-main event, the card, which also feature another fighter from the UK, Fabian Edwards, the brother of Leon Edwards of the UFC, taking on Lyoto Machida in the middleweight division as Fabian Edwards wins in front of his home country, in front of his fans in his home country, I should say, against the legend Lyoto Machida via KO in the first round, 3 minutes 18 seconds. And this was a very good win for Fabian because Fabian basically threw like five lefts, maybe left elbows, left hooks, and just lefts that knocked out Machida. I was rewatching it, and I saw it was nothing but lefts, which was shocking. I mean, I know they were in a clinch, and he drew a left elbow that hurt Machida, and then from there, they got Machida went near the fence, and Edwards was able to attack and throw a left hook and several lefts before driving Machida and finishing off from the bottom with several lefts before the ref stopped it. By that point, Machida was already out, and this was a great victory for Fabian, considering I think he had lost his last fight. I know that. And Machida is a legend. I mean, I know Machida is not the Machida of 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, but still, as a guy who's been UFC light heavyweight champion, fought for the UFC middleweight title. It's a guy who's had one of the better careers in MMA history. And look at his whole career, and to do that against a legend like that, knock him out, it's definitely his biggest victory of his career, and it's definitely something to be proud about. And it's a pretty good victory for him too. I mean, Machida went for a takedown mistaken, but he got up and just negated and just prevented Machida doing anything with a takedown before he was able to, land that left elbow that hurt Machida, led to the finish. But overall, great victory for Fabian.
I agree with you 100%. It was a great victory. This was an exciting ending. The fight in itself, the way they started off, both of these guys were looking to strike continuously. It was surprising to see Lyoto Machida go for the takedown, but all in all, like, I just agree with you 100%. It was an exciting fight, and this is a good momentum win for Fabian Edwards, something where he can pick up the some wind beneath his sails and kind of move forward in the division, move forward in this promotion. It'll be a very good look for him if you have his brother fighting for the title and this guy coming off of a very exciting win against Lyoto Machida, the legend that he is, that you get another victory later on down this year. Just got to stay active, though. But all in all, great victory for Fabian Edwards.
I totally agree. Stay active. Definitely. Get another fight before the end of the year. Maybe 1-2 in a row. Maybe put yourself to fight Gegard Mousasi. I wonder if Gegard Mousasi and Giant Evelyn, because next month they're going to fight for the middleweight title. And I saw Fabian's ranked number 4, so he's right there. All he needs is at least one more victory, especially if he can finish his next opponent, whoever that be, maybe Austin Vanderford or whoever. If he can, in a rematch with Vanderford, if he can, win his next fight, especially finish that opponent, he could be just like his brother and probably get title fights in a major MMA organization like his brother is more likely going to get against Kamaru Usman UFC.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, overall, good victory for Fabian Edwards, definitely, and the crowd definitely. It's one of the 2 Brits that won the main card that the crowd was definitely left happy. We'll talk about the other fight as well, later on. As we move to the women's flyweight division, Bellator, as Kana Watanabe submits Denise Kiholtz in the second round via triangle chokes, 3 minutes and 3 seconds in the second round. And you gotta give Kana Watanabe a lot of credit. She got stunned in like the first 10 seconds of that fight, where it looked like she was about to get finished or dropped, and she immediately went to grab hold of Denise Kiholtz and was able to get hold of her and initiate the clinch. And then the rest of that first round, they were on the ground for most of the first rounds. Watanabe was trying to survive and and went for a submission where Nick could choke the end of the first round, but really couldn't do anything in that fight. Because in that round, because she didn't have enough time. And Kiholtz, was able to fence takedowns and get on top position a couple of times, but Watanabe kept grabbing for her limbs as that's played a major part in this fight. In the second round, they got in the clinch and takedown. I forget who initiated takedown. And then Watanabe got kicked with a legal kick when they're on the bottom, which people forget. Even if you are on the bottom, you still can't kick a down opponent in the head if they're down. Even if you are down yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully for Kiholtz, Watanabe was able to continue, and she didn't lose because of disqualification, which would have sucked for her and sucked for the fans to lose that for a fight then like that. And then Watanabe took her down, but she reversed position. But then after Kiholtz reversed position, got on top, Watanabe put on the the triangle arm choke, and once she got, which at the time I couldn't see because of the fact that the camera angle, it was kind of hard to tell the camera angle whether or not she got it or not. But then we see the replay, she got it on immediately, and then forced Kios to tap, and it was a very good victory for Watanabe considering her last fight she had lost, got finished, she got hurt badly in the first round, and she got kicked, legal kicks early in the second round. So great victory for her. Definitely showed her toughness in that fight.
I agree with you 100%. This was a gritty fight from both contestants. Denise Kiholtz, salute to her for rocking Kano Watanabe early in that round. And a lot of, it kind of did survive in that first round, like you said, but she was consistently trying to get the finish all throughout the first round. And maybe that's what kind of gassed her going into that second round. And that allowed Kano to, jump on it and get the triangle choke. But Kano was also a very, very good contestant this night. She was game. Both of them was a gritty fight. Gritty fight.
Definitely, gritty. That's a good word for it. Gritty fight. Definitely a good word for it. As Watanabe, like I said, bounced back from a loss to Liz Carmouche, who is the current Bellator women's flyweight champion. As hopefully Bellator runs that fight back between Liz and Julia Vasquez, considering the controversy of their fight about 3 weeks ago in Hawaii. For Watanabe, hopefully you give her someone else. If she can win that fight, maybe against a Justine Kish or someone in top 10, maybe then you get Watanabe fight the winner of Vasquez and Carmouche. As I think that fight definitely needs to be settled in the rematch, considering it was a very competitive fight between Vasquez and Carmouche before the bad rest stoppage by Mike Belcher on that fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's different ways of doing this now that Kano Watanabe came out on top here. It's going to be interesting, and we shall see. There is a hope that they can run that back, but if not, there is fluidity in this division.
Yep, definitely agree. As we can move on to the next fights between Paul Daley and Wendo Giacomo, and Paul Daley in his retirement fights. And based on the interview he did with Ariel Helwani today in MMA Hour, this is his retirement fight. Paul Daley gets the KO victory against Wendo Giacomo in the second round, 4 minutes and 9 seconds into it. And man, Paul Daley was in trouble. He got taken down the first row, got controlled by Giacomo. As Giacomo, I learned, took this fight in 2 weeks' notice. I'm not sure I mentioned that last week but he definitely. But I found that. But yeah, I learned it was confirmed that he took this fight in short notice, and he came to fight. He came to spoil the retirement for Paul Daley, fight in front of England, in front of his home country. I think his hometown fans in London. And the second round was a lot of the same, taking him down, controlling him, and basically controlling him and doing what a lot of fighters do against Paul Daley in order to beat him. Most guys, in order to beat Paul Daley, they take him down. As they take him, and control him, because Paul Daley's defense at times has not exactly been the best. And Wendo was doing the right thing, but Paul Daley was able to get out from a bottom and basically was hurt him. So it was throwing some shots, and then as Giacomo got up, he landed that beautiful left body shots that froze Giacomo and then delivered that vicious right that finished and that dropped him. I mean, it was vicious as all. I mean, if you haven't seen that, you go find it, because that knockout it's typical of Paul Daley. Paul Daley doesn't win by submission. The guy has 0 submission victories in his career. If he wins, it's usually by knockouts. Sometimes decision, but it's mostly knockouts. Paul Daley and submissions don't go together at all. I mean, this was a great victory. I mean, impressive.
This was absolutely a stunning victory. Paul Daley, salute to him and a great career. And this is the way most fighters want to end their career, especially when they say this is their last fight. Kind of want to end it winning and in spectacular fashion, the way he did, fighting through adversity. And it seems like that fight was emblematic of who Paul Daley is, fighting through adversity, through all the grappling, things of that nature. You kind of have to get out of it in order to get the win. And when he finally does, and he gets that sliver of daylight in order to release the, cannons he got, it was just good night, Irene, and he was just able to get it. And I mean, that, like I said, most fighters, when they say they're retiring, that's the way they want to end, with the emphatic KO and letting the world know this is what I did. And salute to Paul Daley. This was a very exciting fight.
Indeed, it was very exciting. I mean, my gosh, damn. I mean, Paul Daley's got power. This is his 35th victory, I believe, by knockout and TKO. 35. I mean, there's not many fighters in MMA history that got that many knockouts. Even the great knockout artists we think of in MMA history don't got that many. If you look it up, I mean, even someone like Derek Lewis, who's got the most knockouts in UFC history, he's got 13, and overall, I think 20. I think he's got 20 knockouts in his career. Now, granted, Paul Daley has a lot more fights than Derek Lewis, but still, when you think of knockout artists, we think guys like him, Ngannou. I mean, Dan Henderson back in the day with the H-bomb. I mean, they're the great knockout guys. Not many have 35 knockouts. I mean, that's a lot. For a lot of guys who are knockout artists, that's how many victories they got. 35.
Yeah.
For Paul Daley to have that much, it just shows how much dynamite he had in his hands and kicks too. I mean, I'll never forget, there was a Bellator fight a couple years ago. I forget who it was. Against an Irish fighter where he hit him with a flying knee that finished him. Like, knee to the side his body went out cold. He had to be carried on the stretcher too. I mean, Paul Daley's one like that. I mean, Paul Daley. I mean, when he throws bombs at you, not usually go down. Like I say, it's kind of crazy to think that there are 8 guys that were able to survive Paul Daley, as Paul Daley was able to win by decision. Kind of surprising considering how much power that man's got.
Oh yeah, not only that, but it also lends to the conversation of like how active he was. To have 35 KOs shows that you had a lot of activity in your career. You were constantly out there trying to give the fans what they wanted, because people love the KOs. He was a very active guy, and salute to him, man. Just salute to him.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is a pioneer for British MMA. I mean, he's like that same, like, him and Bisping came around the same time in terms of like their prominence to MMA. They both were around the same time. They're both two guys who helped lead these new generation of British fighters. We're now seeing with Aspinall and Paddy Pimblett and Molly McCann and Arnold Allen and guys like that, and MVP and Bellator, etc. So definitely, Paul Daley is definitely a pioneer for British MMA, along with guys like Michael Bisping, and before him, Ian Freeman, and guys like that, who definitely play a part in putting British MMA in the map. I mean, Paul Daley's fought like a ton of organizations, a lot. I mean, he fought in the UFC, and then he fought in Strikeforce, where him and Nick Diaz gave us probably the greatest first round fight in MMA history. That epic war between him and Nick Diaz that only lasted for the one round. That Daley lost, but still was a great fight. Still probably the greatest one-round fight you'll ever see. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Then fight in Bellator and these other organizations. Paul Daley was active, fought everywhere, fought who's who of guys. I mean, Paul Daley is a great, all-time, a pioneer, a legend in British MMA, and one of the most powerful punchers in MMA history, greatest knockout artist in MMA history. So salute to him and salute for his career he had in MMA.
Most definitely. With that being said, we can move on to the last fight. Well, the first fight on the main card, Simon Biong versus Luke Traynor. Simon Biong wins this fight via unanimous decision, and I think I may have missed this fight. Did you check this one out?
I think I missed it too. I feel like, wait, was it? No, this is the one. I didn't miss this one, unfortunately. I know Biong won. I know Luke Traynor was from England, and Biong spoiled the homecoming. That I do know, but I didn't get to see this fight, unfortunately. But a good victory for Simon Biong, fighting in the main card of Bellator event in England.
Yeah, most definitely. And with that being said, we can move on from Friday night to what happened Saturday. UFC Fight Night. Blachowicz versus Rakic. This was a very fun card for me.
I agree. It was definitely fun.
It was definitely a fun card. I want to start off with the main event, Jan Blachowicz versus Alexander Rakic. Jan Blachowicz wins this fight, TKO. in the third round, but it's due to Alexander Rakic sustaining a leg injury. And yeah, it was, it sucked.
Yes, you're right. It sucked.
It definitely sucked.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a bad fight at all. Not, it was just that it sucked to see a fight end like that. That's what
Yeah.
are trying to say.
Especially because, like, all right, the first round, these two guys are very careful with their power. They both know they pack a punch. Rakic definitely knows Blachowicz packs a punch, but Blachowicz was also being careful of Rakic's power. But these guys weren't afraid to, meet in the middle and throw around. They're throwing the leg kicks, things of that nature. And then once they get into the tussle, I believe it's in the first round that Jan's eye gets cut.
Yes, in the first round, like for like the first 2 minutes, like Rakic like throws I mean that's not it.
That's
but
Jan throwing a punch, but you can see some of the blood on his eye right there.
Yeah, you can see it. Rakic drew a right that just went the right place in Jan's like eye, like kind of like right here. If those of you watching, you can see what I'm trying to demonstrate.
And it cut literally just at that spot where it has a cut right along his nose, but right at that spot where you would dig out your eye boogers.
Yes, exactly. There you go. That's the perfect spot. As I was trying to demonstrate. Unfortunately, those listen audio. It's hard, just to describe for those listening to audio what I was trying to demonstrate. But yeah, definitely good spot.
You know what? I'm gonna give one more example, and if you guys don't get it, that's fine. But to my anime/manga nerds, Itachi, that line he has right there under his eyes, if you can imagine, that's the type of cut Rakic got. Just imagine it extending up to his nose.
Yeah,
like right on the bridge of his nose. Yep. That was the one Blachowicz got.
Yeah, exactly. It was you were wondering how it was going to affect him as the fight kept going on. I was worried that the fight might get stopped because it was such a bad cut in a bad spot. But the fight was able to continue, went past the first round.
Salute to Cutman Tate.
Yes.
Gotta salute that guy. Cutman Tate does a good job there. He was excellent on that. He made sure to stop the bleeding for Blachowicz. And then from there, the second round, Blachowicz is starting to get both guys are getting a bit more active. It was like the first two rounds was still kind of like it was weird to me. Like the first round, maybe you could kind of give it to Rakic because he had a little bit more output and he landed. The second round was a bit more of a toss-up to me. That one was still in the air. I didn't know what was going to happen there because both guys, they were pretty active, and then Rakic got the takedown. I believe he was going for a takedown, and then they end up in a clinch or whatnot.
He took him down. There was a takedown. I do remember there was a point where Rakic was on top and was kind of controlling Blachowicz for at least towards the end of the round, for sure. So it's like a couple minutes of it at least.
But all in all, like that one was a bit of a toss-up there. I didn't know who to give the round to because both guys did so well. It was like you really don't know. And then the third round, you come in, Alexander Rakic is throwing some leg kicks, and then just as he's stepping back to throw one more, he steps wrong, and he just falls down immediately. And he's holding his leg, and just as Blachowicz is circling around, and he's looking at him like he's about to hit Rakic, and then he looks at the referee, and then he looks at Rakic again, and Rakic holds his leg and tells him, nah. And Blachowicz, in control at the moment, fighters could have, high adrenaline, and, pumping through them. They could just lose sight of the moment and just try and finish. But he truly just said, he analyzed the moment and said, no, this dude cannot continue. There's an injury. That's it.
Yeah.
And so that's how Blachowicz won.
Give credit for Blachowicz for being able to stop himself from doing, punching Rakic while it's down. Because a lot of fights would have done that, not because they're being, jerks or anything, just because, he in the moment, you got, you don't stop till the rep tells you to stop, and he could have easily throw some shots on the ground while he was clearly hurt and couldn't continue, but Bo was able to stop himself, which definitely credit him. I mean, and sucks for Rakic because this, like I said, this is not how you want to see a fight end. Regardless of the main event, regardless of the title eliminator for a division, or regardless of the prelim fights, you don't want to see a fight end like that where a guy gets a non-contact injury and they can't continue.
Exactly, and it wasn't like Blachowicz softened up the leg and that's why it happened. Similar to what what's that fight again? Chito Vera versus Sean O'Malley. Remember when he gave Chito Vera the leg kick and that gave Sean O'Malley a drop foot.
Yeah.
So now when Sean O'Malley, he hit the right nerve at the right time. So now when Sean O'Malley wanted to do his usual movement, he couldn't because he had drop foot at that moment. But it sucks for Rakic, and he did, he released a statement on Instagram, says, "A great battle took place in the octagon tonight, but unfortunately it ended not the way Jan and I or the fans wanted. The same damn injury from 3 weeks ago in camp showed up again tonight. I felt I won both rounds, round 1 being close, but round 2 was just mine. Then I really opened up really good, even in the third before my knee buckled. Knowing the fact that my cardio was off the chart with a heartbeat of 36 in sleep, I would start to picking him apart in the third, from the third round on, but it is what it is. Congratulations to Jan, and I wish him the best. I will take care of this injury and come back like you've never seen me before. This is unfinished. This is an unfinished fight between Jan and I really hope the UFC gives me a rematch." And I read the news earlier today. Alexander Rakic is going into surgery for a torn ACL, so he's going to be out for a while. And we know that for Jan, it's smart for Rakic to do the call out because Jan is technically the number 1 contender, and we saw Glover Teixeira literally put out moments before the fight that if Jan took care of business, he would give him the rematch. So that's what's going to happen there. But regardless, that's Rakic just protecting his spot and wanting to be a guy that at the end of the day, you're fighting a guy that's a top 5 guy. When you come back, if that's the fight you want to enter right into and you're confident in doing that, then albeit, but I wish him the best in recovery.
Same here. Wishing the best of recovery, and who knows how long he's going to be. It's going to be a while, but I don't know. It's going to take a year, 7-8 months. I mean, it's who knows. Especially you mentioned he had the injury 3 weeks earlier, so maybe this might have made it worse. It might take longer for him to recover, possibly. And it all depends on what this upcoming week we find out more information about the surgery and all that, etc. And yeah, it definitely sucks to see him. Although it sucks to see him get injured like that. I was gonna mention I've heard stuff that some people believe that Jan did check several of Rakic's kicks from his right leg, and some believe the leg checks that Jan did might have led up to the injury that Rakic got. Even before he stepped back, there was a point where it looked like Jan did check a kick, and then he put his foot back, and he put his leg back, and that might, the check might play a part into the injury potentially.
Who knows? He most definitely put it out there that he was injured in training camp, so it could have been that. It could have been the check. Who really knows? The only thing we do know is that at the moment that ligament went out, it was not directly, it wasn't something where, it was an oblique kick. Right. It wasn't that.
It wasn't.
At the time, the man literally just stepped back and he tore his ACL. And we could say it was the check. We could, say it was training camp. We could say it was that very step. We really don't know. But it is what it is. He got hurt, and we do wish him a speedy recovery.
Yes, we do. And as for the fight itself, I mean, it was a very competitive fight. I thought Rakic won the second round, just went ground control, and he did do some, he was trying to do stuff on the ground, like go for he landed some shots and like I believe he's trying to go for a submission. I could be wrong about that if my memory serves me correct in the second round. And Jan, I thought won the first round. So he landed more shots, leg kicks, and he landed some powerful shots that took Rakic back a little bit. But yeah, I mean this was a competitive fight. So I mean maybe Rakic might have taken over with the takedowns, but it's possible that Jan could just land some very heavy shots because Jan did go to the body several times in that fight, especially in the first round. And the other leg of Rakic, if you saw, it was very swelled up because several leg kicks Jan landed on Rakic, and you look at Rakic's left leg, you definitely could see it was swelling. It was red. The leg that didn't, where the ACL didn't tear off. The leg where the ACL tear didn't occur. Rather, let me correct myself.
Yeah, who knows? But we can't do the multiverse right now of what would have happened in that fight. We just got to run with the results of what happened. Jan definitely, after this fight, he's just going to be on ice waiting for his next title shot. And Rakic has to just recuperate right now. That's it.
Yeah, definitely grading for Jan, probably the next fight. Especially as Glover Teixeira mentioned, if he were to win, he would give him his rematch. But Glover first has to be Yuri Prochazka, next month, like really 3 weeks away in Singapore. Got to beat him first, and then I guess if Glover wins, well, not I guess, they probably will do the rematch to Glover or Jan. Although Magomed Ankalaev and Anthony Smith might have something to say with that, considering they are fighting July. It's July 30th, but they are fighting each other. Excuse me, and someone has a good performance there, maybe they could shoot over Jan Blachowicz to get a title fight. Potentially, maybe UFC might want to do that. Although if UFC, it wouldn't hurt you to do Jan and Glover too, considering Glover is willing to give Jan a rematch. If Glover wins, because if Yuri wins, who knows what Yuri wants? Maybe Yuri might not want to fight. Well, actually, I can see Yuri and Jan fighting each other in Europe, especially if UFC wants to go to Europe and do a big card there, especially the two big Central Eastern European fighters doing card there. Could definitely be, they might do that, especially since there's not many. That'd be a great opportunity to do that, considering UFC I'm pretty sure like to go Central Eastern Europe, but that fight like that could definitely help them get do a fight there. Maybe Poland, Czech Republic, whichever country. It could be Germany even or England even. Somewhere in Europe for that fight if Yuri would be Glover and Yuri Jan.
Yeah, there's a myriad of possibilities, but Jan right now maintains the #1 contendership in the division. He is #1 in the lightweight division, so we shall see based on other matchups that happen. But what's also interesting to me is what happened within the same division in the co-main event between Ryan Spann and Ion Cutelaba. This fight ended in the first round via guillotine choke. Ryan Spann wins it. And, man, he said what he was going to do, and he did it. He knew that Ion Cutelaba was going to, at some point, shoot for a takedown, things of that nature. He knew that was a possibility that Ion Cutelaba could take him down. And I was worried when he did, but Ryan Spann said, I'm going to rock this guy, and then after that, he's going to shoot in, and I'm going to guillotine him and choke him out. And he did exactly that. Like, he rocked him. Ion Cutelaba got the takedown. We worried at that moment. I thought because Ion Cutelaba, he is known to, when he takes someone down, it is ground and pound and just control. Ground and pound and control. And that's why he's got that nickname of being the bully in the division. But Ryan Spann, man, was game and hip to it all. He was able to get back up. And then after that, he was able to secure the guillotine. And that guy, Cutelaba had no choice but to tap out. This was a very exciting one-round fight right here. What were your thoughts, Austin?
This was a very fun fight for the couple minutes it lasted. A little less than 3 minutes it lasted. I mean, Ryan Spann hurt Cutelaba. Cutelaba gets a takedown via judo flip or judo trip, which was nice. And then the thing that really impressed me is Ryan Spann, when he was on bottom, the way he just kicked Cutelaba off like nothing. Like, he just kicked him like, get off me, boy. Almost like almost like someone would do when they're wrestling with their like little brother or like their child. It's like you just kick them off. Like, I mean, Cutelaba is a big guy. I mean, Ryan Span's big too. I mean, I just want to say something. Doesn't Ryan Span look like he should be a heavyweight, not light heavyweight? See how big he looks.
Yeah, he definitely looks like he could. He should be a heavyweight, but at the same time, I mean, like, I'm as big as he is, the sheer athleticism that Ryan Span has, he can just coast in the division because you don't have a John Jones in the division right now.
Yeah, it's true, but it's true. I just think the size. I mean, he's like 6'4", 6'5", something like that. I mean, he just looks so much bigger than Cutelaba. Cutelaba ain't no small guy. I was surprised. It looked like a heavyweight fighting light heavyweight, but Cutelaba, like I said, was able to get a takedowns twice, 2 takedowns. So I think 3 takedowns and twice with a judo trip. And like I said, especially Cutelaba was pushed off from Span just used his legs, just push him like nothing. Especially that second time. That second time was just like whoa. Considering, like I said, you don't see that in fights where guys just when on the bomb just use their leg and just completely pushes their opponent off them completely. I mean, that was like, oh damn. But I mean, you don't see it often. That was impressive as all heck. I mean, all hell. I mean, my gosh. I mean, if you haven't seen that, definitely watch. If you can find the fight, I mean, watch it because that was impressive to watch. That doesn't happen often, in my opinion. It just does. I haven't seen it often.
If you have ESPN Plus, it is available. It is on demand for you to rewatch. Just go to the MMA section on ESPN Plus, and you can watch the entire fight. You know, it's in its entirety, the whole 3 minutes. And well, they're gonna put in, you know, the fight card and you know, Bruce Buffer doing the introduction. So it's possibly gonna be 6 minutes of video, but it'll be worth it for 6 minutes of video because you will see the Peacock and his Flair doing this thing on a fight night, and then you will see Ryan Span doing his thing. You know, just like you said, the way he just shoved, it was proper technique, number one, because we've heard this again on the commentators. We've seen this with the great wrestlers. When you're on bottom, there are techniques and ways that you can, you know, position yourself to get up. But at the end of the day, it's all about exploding in activity. It's exploding in activity. And he had the power for the explosion. And he just showed, like, with the athleticism, you saw it in the activity.
Yes, and definitely was impressive. And then once they got up to their feet, Cutelaba went for overhand right, slipped, and was led the opening for Span put on that guillotine or front choke. It was one of the two, and Cutelaba was trying to like try, you know, put pressure to where it would break the hold, but couldn't. Instead, just made it tighter, and Cutelaba had no choice to tap. It was very quick, and it was like surprising how quickly that sequence went from when they got up to Cutelaba missed, and then he put the you know. When Span put the guillotine choke on him. I mean, it was overall a great victory, a great fight, entertaining fight, great victory for Span as he stays in the rankings. Now, saying he was number 13 going into the fight. This fight probably stay number 13 at the moment. So maybe next for him a ranked fight.
There's a possibility. There's a couple. I mean, he could. Would you mind seeing him against Johnny Walker, or does Johnny Walker have a fight coming up?
I thought he had a fight.
I mean, if he does, then there's a couple of names he could fight in the division. I know Paul Craig is up there right now, but I mean,
he's got 5 Oostamir in the London card. Paul Craig.
Is Jermell Hill fighting anyone recently? I mean, Jermell Hill should be signed up for someone.
I don't know.
I think he might be fighting Anthony Smith. No, Anthony Smith is fighting
Magomed Ankalaev.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a couple of guys. Is Krylov?
I think he's fighting Gustafsson in that London card as well.
Well, I do know Dominic Reyes is out. Well, he's out right now because he's just taking time off to recuperate. I don't know if
Yeah.
you remove him out of the division. There's if you remove his name out of the ranking, there's room for one more person, or maybe he moves up. Maybe Ryan Spann moves up, and he waits for someone coming off of a victory soon. But we definitely shall see.
Yeah. Great, a good victory for Ryan Spann. As we move on to the next fight in the bantamweight division between Davey Grant and Lee Smolka, as Davey Grant wins this fight via KO in third round, 49 seconds of the third round. Excuse me. This was a very fun fight. This was a very entertaining fight, and you can make an argument. Yes, you can make an argument. I thought this should have been fight night over Chukagian and Mana Hibas. The fun fight. I feel like this fight was better, in my opinion. It's a much better fight. I thought. No offense to ladies, it was a good fight, but I thought this was a lot of fun. I mean, Smolka survived the first round, which was surprising. Then he put Grant in trouble in the second round. But then Grant was able to catch him and drop him in the third round very quickly too. And
after a very even beginning in the third round too. After it's Grant took the first round completely. He had the power shots, walking down Smolka a lot. It was just he landed a couple good shots and wobbled Smolka continuously. But then Smolka was able to readjust in that second round, and he took the round convincingly. More so in the later half, because he really came on in the later half, and Davey Grant's power started to fade out. Then you get into that third round, and both guys, it was a dead even until Davey Grant lands that KO. It was a dead even third round. We really didn't know. So I agree with you there. This should have been fight of the night.
Yeah, exactly. Back and forth. The second round, Grant was in trouble. Smolka started making adjustments, putting Grant in trouble, but Grant in the third round, he was able to catch Smolka. And I'm trying to remember. I forget, was that body shot, then a punch, or was it leg kick that led open to the knockout blow? I forget.
I think it was a body shot.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. With those,
because Grant was not kicking as much. He was, especially in that second round, he got into a habit of just throwing punches, and really he was headhunting in the third round. So I think it had to have been a body shot.
Gotcha. And anyway, it was a great setup and great finish for Davey Grant. In a very fun fight, Davey Grant gets a nice victory against Lee Smolka, who was game and brought to Davey Grant, and even did well in the second round too. So great face adversity and came back. Well, he faced a challenge and came back rather, but still, very very fun fight. Very good. Very good fight from Grant and Smolka. Like I said, should have been fight night in my opinion over Hibas and Chukagian. But overall great fights, and shout out to Davey Grant. Also, Grant looked big. I thought he looked like a 45er compared to like Smolka. Smolka did look big for 35. I mean, did you notice how big they looked for 35?
He didn't look that big to me. I think you know what it was. It was just the effect of how dominant he looked in that first round, because he really made Louis Smolka shrink. I don't know how else to say it. His presence shrunk in that first round, and it kind of looked like Davey Grant was gonna walk away with this thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It did look like it, but even before, I thought he looked big. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, but that might play a role in that. Maybe, but I thought before he looked big too, Davey Grant. But either way, great fight, great victory for Davey Grant. Definitely exciting fight. And I guess we can move on to Chukagian and that's later on down the card.
Yeah.
Before we can talk about what happened there, we gotta talk about this women's flyweight fight between Katlyn Chukagian and Mana Hibas. As Chukagian was ranked number 1 in the flyweight division, Hibas was I think number 9 in the strawweight division. Hibas decided to go up in weight. I don't know if this is gonna be her new weight class or if she just took it just to do something different. Not sure, but either way, Katlyn Chukagian wins this fight via split decision, 29-28 in 2 judges' scorecards, while the other judge gave it to Hibas, 29-28. And I thought this was the right call. I can understand why something like Hibas won because of ground control, but I thought Chukagian, unlike MVP, did more on strike, with the MVP story fight we were talking about earlier, did more in the stand-up and landed more shots, especially in the stand-up than compared to MVP and Story, and was playing combinations, 1-2s, and even rock Kibos a couple of times where Kibos was rocked a little bit, but Kibos kept going, and she was able to, she basically won the stand-up this fight. She was a better stand-up fighter than Hebos mostly in this fight. Not, although Hebos did have her own success in the stand-up as well at times in this fight. But I thought Chukagian was the better fighter in terms of the stand-up. And if Hebos had just done more on the ground, she probably could have won this fight because this was very close. It definitely was a very close fight that some argue Hebos probably should have won. But I thought the judges got it right, and Chukagian did enough to win. As Chukagian wins 4 in a row now. She's won 5 of the last 6 since that loss to Valentina for the flyweight title back in 2020. Yeah, February 2020.
This was a very, very close fight. I wouldn't have been mad if Hebos won this fight because I thought she was putting in a lot of work. I know Katlyn Chukagian was a better stand-up fighter, but she definitely had her moments coming. Hebos, I think, had her moments in the stand-up later on in the second and a lot of in the third, especially later on in the third. That she had her moments in the stand-up against Katlyn Chukagian, but I wasn't mad at the decision. This fight could have gone either way. That's how this fight was. Man, it's crazy. Both the Smolka and the Davey Grant fight were very, very good. This fight, as well as that one, and now thinking about it, I'm not too upset that this fight won fight of the night because this could have gone either way. You had an argument for either fighter. It's just the judges came out with Chukagian on top, but I could definitely pick nits about why Hebos could have won, should have won this fight. But it is what it is. A great fight from both these women, though.
It was, and do you think Katlyn Chukagian deserves a rematch? Oh, excuse me, not a rematch, but another title shot. Because I think yes, she's won 4 in a row. She's the clear. It seems like she's the only woman in the top 5 that has put on a streak since losing to Valentina. Besides Talia Santos, who's fighting Valentina in a couple of weeks, a little over 3 weeks in Singapore. I believe 3 weeks from Saturday. I could be wrong, but next month for sure. I know it's next month. Valentina defends her belt against Talia Santos. And like I said, do you think Katlyn's done enough to get another shot at the title? Because I say yes.
Yeah, because the only other opponent left for her to fight would be like either Lauren Murphy or Manon Fior. She would have to go down the list. And at that point, it really doesn't help her coming off of a great win streak like this. Like, it doesn't mean anything right now. Like, you can be on ice, wait for the victory between Shevchenko and Santos, and then from there you could, you call the shots, because at the end of the day, you're still number 1 contender, and these things mean something. Looking at the rankings, especially if you're coming off of great victories and you're the number 1 contender, it means something for you to, be in that position and call the shot. So, yeah, there's nothing stopping her from getting another title shot other than Santos.
Yeah, I agree. If Santos will pull up the upset, I mean, they'll have to do the automatic rematch between Santos and Valentina. That's the one thing that could probably prevent Katlyn from fighting next for the title.
I mean, I'd say this: if it comes to fight week, right, and they probably would already have a backup fighter in place for Talia Santos. But let's say Talia Santos ends up being injured or something happens, God forbid, knocking on wood, the week of the fight, and they have to throw in a backup fighter, and it was Katlyn Chukagian. Would you be upset at that?
Nah, we're not.
Nah, if there's anyone else down that list, you kind of looking and going, yeah, I mean, if they were contractually signed to be the backup fighter, I guess I'm okay with it. But above all else, it's like they got it. At the end of the day, someone has to see Katlyn. Whoever has the belt has to see Katlyn at some point.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Totally agree. She's won 4 in a row, 5 of her last 6 fights since that loss to Valentina for the title back in February 2020. And she's done enough. And I know I heard some. No, I saw something where Caitlin's talking about wanting to fight Mion Fior in France, considering they are going to France in September. I personally don't think it's the best idea. I think if you're Caitlin, you may want to just wait for the title, considering you earned the right to fight for the championship next, especially if Valentina were to win against Santos next month. But if that doesn't happen, Santos wins and either want a rematch, I could understand her taking the fight against Mion Fior in France.
I think that's something where it's where here's where the business side of me comes. As far as like, there's different reasons why people take fights, and I think her taking that fight isn't about ranking. I think it's about staying active and getting a paycheck.
Okay.
And and not only that, but like it's active, it gets a paycheck, but then the bonus of it all is that, and this is the way she would be looking at it, is I'm staying active, I'm at work, I'm clocking in, so they have no choice but to pay me. But then on top of that, if I take this girl out who's a rising contender, I'm the playing field.
Yeah, you'd be too undeniable to get another crack at the title.
Too undeniable, exactly. And so it's like, it may seem like, oh, she just took out the number 7 Manon Fior. It's like, no, she took out someone who was rising in the division. Like, there's different ways of telling the story, and as long as she can tell the story correctly, it could end up in her favor. But we shall see.
Yeah, you're right, and we shall see. Good point. We'll see next. Obviously, what happens in UFC 275 in Singapore has a lot to do with what's next for Katlyn Chookagian with that co-main event, that pay-per-view card with Valentina Shevchenko and Taila Santos. And we can move on to the next fight in the card, which is in the lightweight division between Manuel Torres and Frank Camacho. As Manuel Torres gets the TKO victory in 3 minutes and 27 seconds in the first round, As you see a picture there for those, as of Torres landing an uppercut on Camacho. I believe it was the uppercut. I believe that the uppercut dropped him. Because I know he got hit with combinations, and then the uppercuts. And the uppercuts what dropped in. He got hit with a left, I believe, left straight, and then the uppercut. If I'm mistaken.
Yeah, it was. Ain't much to say about that. Manuel Torres got hands, man.
He's got. Apparently, this was his 12th or 11th victory in the first round. I forgot the commentators mentioned how many of his victories were in the first round in terms of the first round finishes. And he got another one. I gotta check and see. Let me see with Manuel Torres. Give me a minute. But it was a good fight. Camacho has moments too where he did tag Torres a little bit too.
He had his moments all in all, but Manuel Torres, man, that was a spectacular combination. Got the finish off the right hook uppercut. Like, it was beautiful, man. Beautiful combo work, and especially being on the main card in a fight night, that was great. That was just wonderful.
8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, this is 11th victory. 11th first round finish. It was 12 victories. So it shows you. I mean, the guy gets it still be 13 victories. This was his 11th. I believe his 11th or 12. Let me see, 11. Some decision here. No, this was his 12th first round finish of it. 13 victories. I don't know why. I'm sorry for miss.
Look. All you saying right now, all you saying right now is letting the world know that. Well, he's letting the world know, but you're furthering the point. This man is dangerous in the stand-up game. He has enough power to put you out.
And submissions. I saw he's got 6 submissions also, so he can make you tap as well.
Quickly, but I'm guessing the way he set up those submissions was through the striking.
Yeah, I assume.
You see the power is evident.
Right. So this guy's definitely dangerous in the first round for all the lightweights. Who are gonna fight him, you gotta definitely watch out in the first round because he can drop you, and knock you out, or drop you and get a submission victory. Considering he's got 12 first-round victories with 13 fights. As I don't know why I couldn't say that earlier, butcher it, but hey, I mean, Manuel Torres is dangerous. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, that's all we're trying to say. But from there we can move on to the the first fight on the main card. Alan Nascimento versus Jake Hadley. Alan Nascimento defeats Jake Hadley, giving him his first defeat in his professional career. Jake Hadley falls to 8-1, and this was a great fight for Alan Nascimento.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Great fight for him. A great fight, because coming into the fight, all the talk was about Jake Hadley. What was Jake Hadley gonna do? What was Jake Hadley gonna do? But when he gets a guy in this, spot of the ring, in this spot of the octagon, this is what he usually does. Like, that was what the commentators were talking about all night in regards to Jake Hadley. Rightfully so. He was just coming off of a Contender Series victory and getting the contract, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Yes. So he got the contract, earned the contract, and now he's in the UFC. But Alan Nascimento, man, it was a gritty fight. It was a dirty fight. It was, just taking the guy down, ground and pound strikes, keeping control, throwing in the threat of submission. If not throwing in the submission, ground and pound yet again. And then when you get back up into the feet, when you get back onto the feet, you're striking here and there, but you're making it dirty. You're giving Jake Hadley some moments of comfort here and there, but then you get right back into the dirty game plan. And this was something reminiscent of, I think, of Raquel Pennington. When I saw this fight, it was similar to like a Raquel Pennington type of approach where, you're not, flourishing in the best of skills, but you know how to mix it up enough to get it to where you want the fight to be. And if it's this much utter chaos and you're comfortable in it, then hey, thrive in the chaos, live in it. And that's what Alan Nascimento did. It was a great fight for him. He just dominated the fight from beginning to end, and Jake Hadley had no response whatsoever.
Yeah, you're totally right with everything you just said. Jake had no response for anything Alan Nascimento did. He basically controlled the fight, and he's definitely doing well on the grappling exchanges. And I'm not sure they mentioned it, but you can see Charles Oliveira was in his corner. That's one of his teammates. If you see, like, whenever he was near his corner, you can see Charles Oliveira there. You could tell he definitely trains with Charles Oliveira, considering how well he was from the grappling exchanges, from the strike. It's actually grappling exchanges, going for several times, going for leg knee bars and heel hooks. Although he didn't get it, but he still went there. And you could tell this guy definitely got good grappling, trains with someone like Charles Oliveira in terms of the way his grappling, how he was just so much better than Jake Haley was. And that's one of the big reasons why he won this fight. It's just controlling him, being a much better grappler than him. As he did hand Jake Haley's first loss, which I don't think he had experienced someone that good grappling prior to this, in my opinion, that I'm aware of. And he definitely uses grappling to hand Jake his first loss.
Yeah, I mean, Jake is from the tape they showed, Jake is experienced with grappling offensively. It seems just he's never, like you said, he's never fought someone that was this well versed in grappling offensively and having you fight defensively and changing the game plan from that. But this is a learning experience. This isn't a one and done like boxing where, as soon as you have a loss on your record, that's it. He still has chances to learn and grow from this. And I'm excited for both these guys when they come back to the octagon. What are they going to show us?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. It's not boxing. He's got a chance to learn from this and just be a learning experience. And I'm excited to see what both fighters got. Alan Nascimento and Jake Hadley, excuse me. And definitely excited to see what both guys have next.
Yeah, but that was the main card of the UFC Fight Night. Is there anyone in the preliminaries that you want to give a shout out to?
Michael Johnson. His knockout victor, Alan Patrick. We haven't seen Michael Johnson in a while. And as you can see, he left Alan Patrick like flatline. He knocked him out cold, left him flat in their fight. And Michael Johnson's got power. Let's not forget this guy finished Dustin Poirier back in 2016. It's kind of crazy, Michael Johnson. This guy has been in UFC for a while. He's got victories over Edson Barboza, Tony Ferguson, and Dustin Poirier. And he's had some bad luck recently, but he was able to get an impressive knockout victory over Alan Patrick after not fighting for a while. I believe like a year or so.
Yeah, I think what wasn't his last fight against I think OSP?
No. He's
No?
lightweight. No, he's got victories over Barboza, Tony Ferguson, and Dustin Poirier. There's no way you fight OSP.
Give me one moment.
I mean, great victories. Definitely showcases power, considering Alan Patrick has moments in this fight where he has success.
Clay Guida.
Boy Guida, okay. Yes, so Patrick has moments in this fight, Alan Patrick against Michael Johnson, but Michael Johnson was able to land that shot that knocked him out and flatlined him, as you saw in that picture that I showed earlier. Great victory for him.
Definitely. Yeah. Another fighter I want to shout out is Verna Jandiroba. She defeated Angela Hill, unanimous decision there. Jandiroba looked very, very good. She went back to her roots of grappling. This was a this was a grappling exchange. She knows she has power in her hands, but she's a grappler first. So it's all about, throwing enough strikes to get it to the ground and then be comfortable there. And that's what she did in this fight. You guys know I love Angela Hill, but I think she needs to move up move out of the division. Got to move up in weight class or something.
You think so?
She's just got to move out of the division because it doesn't look like she has the power for it anymore.
Yeah, but I just don't know 125. I'm just saying she's not a big 115er. Me personally, maybe you have a point, but she's not exactly a girl who looks big at 115. I mean, maybe.
Bro, she just because you gotta do something for that power gap you have. She has the quickness, she has the length, she has the agility, the motion is all there and all that, but like watching her last couple of fights, the Jandiroba one, the Tisha Torres one, the rematch she got against Tisha Torres, like both those fights, it looked like she did not have the power for the division anymore. It feels like the weight cut is killing her.
Maybe. I guess. I just don't know if she's big. I'm not sure if she would have success at 125.
I mean, what would you suggest she does?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's the best idea though. That's not exactly. I mean,
would you cut her down some more?
What? Weight? No.
Yeah. No.
I don't think so because no atomweight division. But
no.
I'm not sure going up in weight exactly going to solve their issues either. Pretty girls are a little bit bigger than her.
I mean, but here's the thing: if you're looking at the division right now for her, like, they're like the only person I see her catching on a slide right now is Michelle Waterson, and at best that gets her into the top 10.
Right, and Michelle's got a fight against who she got a fight against? It just got announced. Damn it, who she have a fight against? They just announced it. I know she got. Yes, Lemos. I think you're right. I think
it might be Lemos.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So like, I don't know who else she's gonna fight, but I just don't know if going up and win is the best option.
I mean, it's not about the best option. It's just looking at it in the vacuum of just what are the options she has, because everyone up the division right now. They've either got a victory on her or a victory on someone that has beaten her.
I don't know what's next. I can't tell you.
I don't know. We shall see, but
I mean, also Vivian Araujo defeated Angela Lee. Adria Lee via unanimous decision, 29-28 and 29-27, two judges scorecards, and very dominant victory for Araujo. I mean, definitely looked like the better fighter compared to Adrian Lee. Despite that head kick that Lee landed, as you see there in that
Yeah.
picture. Despite that, but a lot of fights, Lee was on her back and really couldn't do much. She felt like she was one step behind Vivian. It seemed like throughout the whole fight, as Vivian gets a nice victory over a surging Lee, who was top 10 in that women's flyweight division.
She had one chance in that fight, and it was that combo head kick where it kind of wobbled Vivian. But then after that, Vivian was game. It felt like once she got out of that funk and woke up, it was like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do with you. And from there was a dominant victory for her. Like you said, salute to her. Another fighter I want to give a shout out to, Andre Petrosky. He defeated Nick Maximov early in the first round via anaconda choke. Maximov immediately just passed out. Passed out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was tight, so you can tell. And I think it's Maximov's first loss.
Yep.
And I know he's a product of Nate Diaz, a protege of both Diaz brothers. I know Nate, I think Nick as well. So definitely a great victory for Andre Petrosky in the prelims to start the first fight of the whole entire card.
Yep. And shoot, I know we basically just shouted out the entire preliminaries, but another guy I want to shout out is Tatsuro Taira.
Yep.
He won the fight against Carlos Candelaro. Like that, he's a great prospect. That's the guy that Austin was talking to me about a couple of weeks ago. He showed me a picture of him, said this guy's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see him in the UFC. And I saw him, very grappling heavy based, grappling heavy based fighter, but he has power in his hands. There's definitely a chance for him to succeed in the UFC and become a name. Especially because you don't see a lot of the Asian grapplers being predominantly shown in mixed martial arts like that. Those guys usually are strikers, so it's very rare to see an Asian fighter who is a grappler. It's interesting to see his trajectory and where he goes with his career.
I totally agree. You don't see as many Japanese or Asian grapplers like you used to. Back in the day, certainly there was like more especially Japanese grapplers, particularly judokas. But you don't see them a lot recently. Like Shinya Aoki was like the last one I can recall. That was like 12, 13 years ago since his prime. And he's still fighting, doing well today, but still now it's about to see more. Now we see Tatsuro now is a grappler. Like I said, a lot of Asian fighters we see tend to have striking backgrounds, more so than grappling backgrounds. But now we have a first time in a while an Asian, especially Japanese grappler. Coming in the UFC or just North American MMA and showcase his skills.
Yeah, I think you don't see the judokas anymore because of there's no gi.
Right.
A lot of those techniques, a lot of the good very good techniques for the judo require the gi on because they will choke you out with your own clothes. But yeah, like you said, very interested. And all in all, we shouted out basically everyone on the card because I think every fight was this fight card was very, very interesting. There's a disappointment in the main event just due to injury, but all in all, it was a very good card.
Yep, definitely was. As Tatsuro Taira goes 11-0 now, so he stays undefeated. So yeah, good card overall, despite the disappointing finish with Rakic and his knee, but very good card. Yeah, great submissions, great knockouts, competitive fights that end in the finish. Important fights for the lightweight division, also for the women's flyweight division. We actually just got two new number one contenders for those two weight classes respectively, and also two important fight in the women's flyweight division between Vivian Rojo and Adrian Lee, and of course two ranked fighters in the strawweight division between Jan Jaroba and Angela Hill. So it's kind of everything, rising contenders, prospects, and like I said, great fights, great submissions, great knockouts. Good card overall for the UFC.
Most definitely. And with that being said, we could move on to some upcoming events. This Friday, there is no Bellator, but Khabib Nurmagomedov has got us, ladies and gentlemen. Habib has got us. Eagle FC this Friday, 6 p.m. Tune in and on the FTX program. I mean FLX, excuse me. It's live and free on FLX. I have FLX Cast on my phone, so I will be watching the Eagle FC card. It's Jorgen de Castro versus Junior Dos Santos. That's the main event in the heavyweight division. So it's going to be an interesting fight there. You also have Hector Lombard versus Thiago Silva. That's going to be very, very interesting there. We also have some interesting names on the card. You have, Sean Bunch is starting off the card. He's a disciple of DC. DC loves raving about this guy, so we're going to see how he competes on the card. He's going to be fighting against Adi Alik. And then you also have Ahmed Aliyev. He's very interesting as well. He's going to be fighting Daryl Horcher. This is all on the preliminaries. We also have Islam Mamedov. He's put on some very interesting tape on Eagle FC. So he's going to be fighting your Dennis Sedeno. So it's going to be some very interesting fights on Eagle FC. Please tune in Friday, 6 p.m. Eagle FC on FLX Cast. And with that being said, we can move on from there to what's happening Saturday night.
Oh, I just want to say something. I'm sorry. I think my
go
mic
ahead.
was muted. Sorry, I didn't realize that. I'm surprised Islam Mamedov wasn't. I don't know. He might still be in Bellator because I know Sergey Karatanov is in Bellator and they let him fight on the UFC card. I was surprised to see Islam Mamedov on his card, considering his last fight was in Bellator back in January. We lost to Benson Henderson. But definitely interested in see what Islam Mamedov does. Also, like I said, that main event, it should be. I think it may end in a knockout between Dos Santos and De Castro. De Castro's got a striking background, I believe kickboxing, and then Junior Santos, we know he's boxing background. We know he's got power in his hands. He's definitely knocked out a lot of dudes over the years. But yeah, the Eagle FC card is definitely something to look forward to. As you mentioned, it begins Friday at 6 p.m. Correct?
Yep. Friday, 6 p.m. on the FLX Cast. So tune in. It's for free.
Yep.
Whole card's for free. Just download the app, FLX, look it up on your app store. It's right there for free. But yeah, we can move on from there to what's happening Saturday night. Saturday afternoon, excuse me. UFC Fight Night. Holly Holm versus Caitlin Vieira. Bantamweight division. The Preacher's daughter is back, ladies and gentlemen. Preacher's daughter is back. How do you see this one going, man?
I believe Holly Holm was supposed to fight like several weeks ago, but then she got like injured, so they postponed to now. And this is an important fight for Holly because Holly Holm has put on a little streak together. She's ever since that loss to Amanda Nunes back in 2019. In July 2019, I forget which UFC pay-per-view. I remember the same one as Masvidal when the Masvidal Ben Askren fight where by second knee. I know it's the same card. It's the co-main event. Since I lost to Nunes, she's won her last two fights via decision over Raquel Pennington and Irene Aldana, very very comfortably too, against both women who are both doing well in the bantamweight division. And she can have a dominant victory or Vieira. She might earn herself another title fight, especially winning 3 in a row in 4 of her last 5 fights. If she were to beat Caitlin Vieira, obviously. And especially considering Holly Holm, I think, just turned 40 or she's 39. She's somewhere around there. She's not exactly, young spring chicken anymore. She's got an MMA a little bit later because she had a Hall of Fame boxing career prior to doing MMA. And with Holly Holm, she can keep this fight in distance, especially boxing or kickboxing distance, and she can keep it there. I think she has a great shot of dominating Caitlin Vieira, considering she is the better boxer of the two, obviously, considering, like I mentioned, she's a Hall of Fame boxer versus Vieira. Although if you're Caitlin Vieira, her confidence got to be all-time high, considering she has come out with victory over Miesha Tate, if I'm mistaken, in her last fight, correct?
Give me one moment.
Let me see. Yeah, she has come out with victory over Miesha Tate. Exactly, who, I know it's not Miesha Tate several years ago, but Miesha Tate was coming out with victory prior to that, and Miesha Tate is a legend in the sport. in her first main event too, so she's not gonna have that main event jitters that you probably would think, considering she's not a woman who's had a lot of main events. But this being her second one, her getting a victory in the last one, she should be more confident, and she's trying to, if she can get a victory over another UFC bantamweight champion, now you start talking about her possibly getting a title fight, considering she's being two former champions, and so the divisions with not a lot of contenders. Obviously, Juliana and Amanda are going to do the rematch, and whoever wins that fight, the winner of this fight is probably going to fight the winner of that fight. If you think about it, it would make sense. I mean, I'm not wrong in that. I mean, when you think about it.
Yeah, I agree. But with this fight, the way you're talking, this doesn't go to the distance. This sounds like it's gonna end in a finish.
Maybe if Holly wins, I see Holly more likely getting the finish versus Caitlin Vieira, personally. But I can see this going to decision because Holly Holm's last 3 victories have all been decisions. So.
Okay.
But I mean, Holly Holm, we know she can finish, girls. We see the famous head kick of Ronda Rousey, the head kick against Bethe Correia, and and earlier in her career, she was getting several head kick and TKO victories. So we know the head kick's there, and also she's got. So I mean, it's possible she could get a head kick knockout, maybe throw a punch that stuns Caitlin Vieira and drops her potentially. But I think it's going to decision personally, but I could see Holly Holm getting the finish more likely than Caitlin Vieira. Now I'll be surprised if Caitlin gets the finish a little bit, but it's MMA. The unexpected happens. I mean, let's not. Sometimes we expect something to happen, it doesn't work out that way because MMA is unpredictable, as you and I both know.
Yeah. Okay. So we definitely shall see what goes on in this fight. It's gonna be very interesting, and this fight definitely has some contendership implications. Looking also at this co-main event here in the welterweight division, Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Michel Pereira. This is interesting to me.
It should be entertaining, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be entertaining. Michel Pereira, his last fight, he showed a lot of control. He showed a lot of control in his last fight. He wasn't, flipping around, exploding, things of that nature. He used to do all this athletic stuff just because he had the ability to. But in his last fight, what was it against Andre Fialho?
Yeah, back in January.
Yep, and that was a very controlled approach that he took against Andre Fialho, and we see Fialho is just finishing guys left and right, and he felt that even in that fight he had a chance to finish Michel Pereira, but it didn't happen there. But we shall see what Michel Pereira's, if he sticks to the game plan, then it'll be very entertaining, and it'll always be, it'll always be one move away from some guy getting knocked out. But if he doesn't, then I see Ponzinibbio just taking this fight over.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Michel Pereira's won 4 in a row. He's been a lot more patient, a lot more calm than usual, because one of the things that would cost him in some fights is that he would just be too reckless, and he's so reckless that he would tire himself out, allowing the other guy to beat him and get the decision over him. But he's definitely changed in these last several fights. He's gone, more patience, led to more success and more victories. He's won 4 in a row now, as he has a chance. If he beats Ponzinibbio, he'll definitely crack in the rankings. Because I think Ponzinibbio is ranked like 12, 11. Like, he's in the top 15. I know in the welterweight division. I just don't remember where he's ranked, Ponzinibbio. If I'm mistaken.
One moment. Ponzinibbio is ranked number 14.
14, okay. That's right. He's coming to loss to Jeff Neal. A split decision back in December. That's right.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ponzinibbio, I mean, definitely a guy who's capable of delivering very exciting, entertaining fights, like he did against Miguel Baeza back in June of last year. And this is a guy who's trying to, prove why he's a ranked fighter. Because prior to that long layoff he had, where he was gone for 2.5 years, he was a guy who was in top 10, who was coming out victor over Neil Magny, and a guy who we thought who could be a contender in the welterweight division. But that layoff and losing to the Li Jiang definitely hurt him. And he's trying to bounce back after that loss to Jeff Neal. And I think Ponzinibbio is a guy who's definitely has a shot. I mean, I think he's my slight favorite, although I wouldn't be surprised if Pereira beats him just because of the competition that Ponzinibbio's faced versus Pereira. I think that might play a role. And considering this is a co-main event, which is a big, I don't recall too many co-main events Pereira's fought in. Maybe that might play a role potentially. Maybe not as much as the main event because it's only 3 rounds to be fair.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I think these are two guys who have a lot of finishes. Pereira's got like 17 finishes, and I know Ponzinibbio's got like 21 finishes. So both guys can finish. Definitely a lot. Would I be surprised if finish? No, but I could see this being a decision also because they might just cancel each other out, and both guys should be more cautious and don't want to get caught with something from either one of the guy because both guys, like I said, have the finishing ability. I think this could definitely be a very good fight. Wouldn't surprise me it's fight of the night. Not saying it's going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Not. I would be more shocked if this had won fight of the night over possibly the main event. But I mean, I would just say that, but at the same time, fight of the night could come from any fight on the card.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. Both these guys have the possibility to make this a fight of the night. It's just there's too many factors that both guys have to check before they could do that. But you're absolutely right. This does have the possibility. Is there anything else you want to add on to this?
I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I want to add on? No, I think I said everything I need to say. I mentioned that if Pereira wins, he'll probably be ranked. So he's 5 in a row and just beat the number 14 guy. I already mentioned that, so it's nothing else.
All right. With that being said, we can move on to the next fight on the main card. It's in the middleweight division. Titi Njokwani versus Dusko Todorovic. This fight doesn't go the distance, man.
I've heard Chidi Njokwani, Dusto Jovanovic. Not too familiar with him, not gonna lie.
This guy is a striker. He is very much so a striker. He the way he walks people down is similar to Sean Strickland type of fighting style. It's heavy with the hands. He may throw a kick or two here and there, but he really wants to hit you with his hands. That's the type of guy Dusko Todorovic is. So I don't see this fight going the distance. Someone is most definitely getting knocked out.
Okay, yeah, and I see. I'm just looking up a little bit of Todorovic, and he's definitely a striker. Definitely, guy's got 7 KO and TKOs of his 11 victories. So, guy likes to finish with striking.
I know, and I know Chidi Njokwani loves to do the same thing.
Yeah, 13
especially that victory he had against Mark Andrew Barreau a few months ago. That was So
now 16
that's why
seconds.
I said
yeah, that's right. Now I remember him because I knew I'd seen him fight. Just couldn't recall. Yeah, that's right. 16-second knockout.
That's why I said this fight does not go the distance. Someone is getting put out.
Yep. Great fight. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's gonna be a finish. Hopefully, which would definitely be a good thing for the fans.
Most definitely. I would look out for this one because this might be performance. Someone from this fight is getting performance of the night bonus. That's what I see for sure.
Right.
All right, we can move on. What? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we can move on to the next fight.
Yeah. In the strawweight division, in the women's strawweight division, Pauliana Viana versus Tabitha Ricci. I'm kind of not familiar with either of these ladies.
Viana, I'm more familiar with. I've seen her fight. I know I've seen her fight a couple of times. This is Viana's first fight in over a year. Last time she fought was a victory over Mallory Martin back in February of 2021. They gave her Burns' Kamaru Usman card. She won by an armbar in the first round. So we haven't seen Viana in a while, so that's why she hasn't fought in over a year. Now Tabitha Ricci, I'm not too familiar with. I'm not too familiar with her.
No, Ricci I'm familiar with now. because she's had 2 fights in the UFC. Her first fight was against Manon Fior. Remember, that was both of them stepped up. I think that was their recently first fights in the UFC. Manon Fior finished that via TKO in the second round.
Yeah, okay. I see at the second round. Then she bounced back in October and won her fight against Maria Oliveira back in October for Tabitha Ricci. So I know they're both Brazilians. They're two Brazilians fighting each other.
And I know Ricci is a grappler.
Yeah, and so is Viana. She's got 8 submission victories too. So it might be a grappling. Go ahead.
You said it might be a grappling competition. You know, when 2 grapplers get in the octagon, what's gonna happen?
Striking.
It's a whole lot of striking.
But sometimes with grapplers, they'll try to do grappling and see who's the better grappler. I know a wrestler, 2 wrestlers, it's definitely a guaranteed striking matchup. And sometimes with grapplers, same thing. But sometimes with grapplers, they may try to see who's the better grappler too. Sometimes, I think. But also you got the times where they'll see who's the better striker of the 2, and it might be the case here. But I just feel like with 2 wrestlers, you see it more often than 2 jiu-jitsu practitioners. Not to say you don't see it with two jiu-jitsu practitioners where they both decided where it becomes a stand-up fight, because sometimes it does. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe let me know if I'm wrong in the chat or in the comments.
Yeah, just let them know. But we definitely shall see what happens in this fight between Polyana and Tabitha. We can move on really to the next fight on the first fight on the main card. Eric Anders versus Jun Young Park. This is in the middleweight division.
Eric Anders, a guy I'm familiar with Anders, with Jun Young Park, not too familiar with him at all.
I'm not too familiar with Jun Young Park, but what I can say, I am familiar with Eric Anders, and what I'm familiar with is looking at him, and I've seen him in the middle. He looks big for the middleweight division.
Yeah, he looks like he should be a light heavyweight. I mean, the guy used to play football at University of Alabama, won a national title with them back in 2009 too.
Yeah, he really looks like a light heavyweight.
I agree. Did he fight light heavyweight, Eric Anders? I could have sworn he did.
Nah, I mean, the last time I've seen him fight was at middleweight. I've seen 2 fights of his at middleweight, and every time I've looked at him, I'm like, oof. I feel like he just needs to move up in the division. Move up. He looks too big. Because I've seen him get gassed in the first round.
Yeah, I have. I have too, and that bites him, especially later on the fight. But no, he did fight light heavyweight. He fought Khalil Roundtree light heavyweight. That was the fight where Roundtree messed up his leg badly with those kicks, that Muay Thai stance. Yeah, that was a light heavyweight. He also fought Thiago Santos. That's right. He headlined a car with Thiago Santos in Brazil one time when Santos was on his way to the championship. He ended up getting finished by Santos, but hey, that's Santos. Which at that point, Santos was a dangerous man.
Not only that, but you just mentioned another guy that's very, very dangerous, Khalil Roundtree. It's only but a matter of time for him. If he gets on the right string, we see that this guy, this guy is clear in his last 2 fights have set trends for other MMA fighters.
Yeah.
The fight prior to, the first fight that put him on the map was the oblique kick. And then everyone started doing it. And then his last fight, he was able to kick someone in the solar plexus while they were crouched down on the ground.
Hey, it lifted him up. Yeah, exactly. That was crazy.
He is a vicious, accurate striker. So I can't, you lost to 2 vicious guys.
And yeah, I know Andrew's last fight was a loss to Andre Munoz, who's definitely, you talk about guys who rise up in the middleweight rankings. How about him? He's ranked number 13, and he's definitely a guy who's been submitting people left and right. I mean, he submitted Jacare in his last, which turned out to be Jacare's last fight, broke his arm. It was sad. Submitted Anders, submitted his opponent prior to that, and now he's fighting Uriah Hall in July, UFC 276. So, I mean, Anders' last fight was a loss to, a rising contender in his weight class, and Andre Munoz. And he tried to bounce back against Jun Young Park, and just want to real information about Jung Park real quick. He's 13-5. He's got five TKO, KOs, 3 submissions, and 5 decisions. So 8 finishes. His last fight was a loss to Gregor Rodriguez back in October in a Paulo Costa Marvin Torre undercard where he lost via KO in the second round. Before they
Yeah,
had won 3 in a row.
but yeah, and I also see he has a win over Tafon and Chukwi. And Tafon and Chukwi is a knockout artist, so for him to get a decision win majority, it seems like he played it smart. He's a smart fighter.
Yeah, and he's got Victor Ray Cooper III, who's doing well in PFL at the moment. So I mean, definitely a good. Got some notable victories, notable wins. So these are 2 guys trying to bounce back from losses. Jung Park and Eric Anders. Potentially, I mean, I can't. I don't have a favorite. It can go either way with one of these guys.
Yeah, it could go out either way, but for me personally, I think I'd have to favorite Junior Park on this one. If he's smart, he's gonna make Eric Anders tire himself out, and from there, you piece him up. But that's if he's able to execute the game plan.
Yep, I totally agree, and I agree with you. I think Eric Anders should definitely be a light heavyweight, not a middleweight. I think a light heavyweight would be better for him.
Yeah,
I agree with you there. But yeah, I think that's the main card. I don't think there's anything else in the main card I can think of.
nah, that's it for the main card. There's some interesting names on the preliminaries that I think you guys should check out. Omar Morales versus Uros Medic. That's going to be interesting there. Uros Medic is a very a name that's coming up in the UFC. Chase Hooper, he's fighting on the preliminaries against Felipe Colares. That should be interesting there. Chase Hooper is also a guy that's coming up in the UFC. And the first fight on the preliminaries as well, Elise Reed versus Sam Hughes. That's going to be interesting to me. So, is there any fight on the preliminaries that you see is going to be interesting?
No, you mentioned Chase Hooper. That was the one fight I was going to mention. Hooper's fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one I was going to mention. Chase Hooper against Felipe de Colares.
Colares, yeah.
Colares, yeah. But in the featherweight division. But yeah, overall that's the card. You said it starts Saturday afternoon, correct?
Yep, Saturday. I think the preliminaries start at 4 p.m.
4 p.m. The card starts at 7.
Yep.
It's live at UFC at the Apex in Las Vegas. As there's no Bellator this weekend, there won't be Bellator till like late June 24th. So this is the UFC, and we have Eagle FC at this Saturday, but I'm not sure when the next Eagle FC event's going to take place after this. Not too sure. So at least we're getting.
But if you guys download the FLX Cast app, you will be notified for whenever Eagle FC is on, because they not only host certain events in the United States, but they're really out of the United States. They host the events in other parts of the world. So be on the lookout for Eagle FC.
Yep, and definitely Eagle FC is this Friday at 6 p.m. and 7 o'clock Saturdays. The UFC HOLM versus VIEIRA in the main event on ESPN Plus. So definitely got a lot of MMA, good amount of MMA this weekend, upcoming weekend to watch, and we shall see what's going to happen. We'll look forward to talking next week, breaking down what happened this upcoming weekend with the UFC and UFC. Is there anything else we gotta mention before we head out?
Just want to shout out Jermell Charlo. He was able to knock out Brian Castano in the 10th round to become the unified 154-pound champ. Salute to Jermell Charlo, man.
Got a nice victory for Jermell Charlo as he unifies the 154 title. I mean, now he's the unified champion in boxing. So it's definitely a great shout out for him to do that. It's better. It's better to see unified champions. At least he knows the best. As boxing does have that problem of too many belts, which I'm pretty sure all boxing fans have talked about. My dad, I'm pretty sure, has talked about it in previous streams. You've talked about it, I'm sure. I
mean, the idea was fun at first, but now you have so many belts that you have no choice but to unify them.
Yeah, as I said, boxing has too many sanctioning bodies. That's just why are you there?
But yeah, I mean, salute once again to Jermell Charlo. Great victory. And yeah, that's been it so far in the world of combat sports. Thank you guys so much for joining us, whether it be on YouTube here, where you guys can always submit questions in the comment section, or you guys can leave a question or a comment in the comments, and we'll shout you out in the next show. Or whether you're joining us in the podcast form, that's it, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, Spreaker, wherever you're joining us.
Spotify.
Thank you guys, Spotify. Thank you guys so much for joining us and supporting everything we do here at MMA Weekly and in the BX Sports Jedi Network. But from myself, Chef Dan, and from Austin, just want to say peace out.
Yeah, and thank you guys for watching, listening to us on audio podcast platforms, or watching us on YouTube. We appreciate the love and support. And like I said, can we go? We'll see you guys next week. Can we break down what happened this upcoming weekend? And we'll see you guys. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys later. Peace out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are